Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Keiko Talks. Tonight, we'll be finishing up our game of We're Not Really Strangers. Tonight, we're doing Level 3 Reflection, where we'll be diving deeper than ever before. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out Levels 1 and 2 from our previous episodes, where we got into some really probing questions. All right, let's get into it. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Keiko Talks. As you heard in the intro, tonight we're finishing up our game of We're Not Really Strangers. And we're moving on into level 3, which is Reflection. This level has probably some of the most probing, more complex questions than levels 1 and 2. But yeah, we're excited to get into these because we're learning a lot about each other as we, go throughout these levels and answer all these questions. So, you ready?
Yep.
All right. Do you want to start with your first question?
Sure. Okay. My first one says, how would you describe me to a stranger?
To like somebody who's never met you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Physically, I'd be like, she's kind of short. A little bit short.
Wow.
I mean, not
wow.
well, because it's just physical than like the actual personality.
I guess. Okay. So I guess that's your description. So short.
Well, not just short, but like physical. If it was like police got identified this body.
Oh, wow.
Person.
You think I'm common?
Okay. No. But like, you know how police report it's the facts about this individual versus how would I describe my sister to like a therapist, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
So like, I'd be like, she's probably roughly 5'4"-ish, 5'4", 5'5". She's probably wearing some sort of like
I'm actually 6'3", but all right.
What'd you say?
I'm actually 6'3".
She's probably wearing some sort of like neutral color, like jumpsuit or like leggings or something.
Something comfy.
Probably like kind of gives you vibe of like a plant person.
Like a stay-at-home mom.
A what? What'd you say?
A stay-at-home mom.
Stay-at-home mom, yeah. Like you got like your hair's in like freeform now, like you were saying.
It's not freeform, babes. No, ma'am.
Okay, locks?
I have locks, but not freeform. I do not like freeform. No offense to anybody that has them.
Okay, not freeform, locks. Catelyn's getting locks. And like brown skin, my skin tone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, kind of cute, like a little pumpkin.
What? Huh? A pumpkin. Girl.
Not like a pumpkin, but like I don't know, you're kind of like, when I think about Catelyn, it's kind of like, I do think about like that kind of fruit, like harvest natural fruit.
Okay. But
sorry,
a pumpkin? Pumpkins are not cute.
well, I'm talking about like the Halloween pumpkins, like they really cute ones you find at the store.
Or the little tiny ones. Those are cute. They're precious.
Yeah. Okay. That's what I'm talking about.
Well, I am small, so.
What I'm saying, it's like, I don't know. It's like when I think about like the feeling, if I had to say Catelyn was like going to be a vegetable fruit, it would be something like a pumpkin, like a harvest, something you would harvest, natural, keep it around.
And that's like first. I've never been called a pumpkin. And I've been called many a things. Well, I guess that's the first for everything.
That's what I would say. But it's like meant in a positive way.
Yeah.
But if I had to say,
what about like personality wise?
Yeah, I was getting into that. Like, as if I was describing you to a therapist, I would say your personality, I would say it is sort of no nonsense, but also sort of, I guess, like free but also like in touch with like yourself and Earth as well. I don't know what to call that personality, but that's what I would say your personality is.
That's fair. I can agree with that.
Yeah, like years ago, I would have been like, you're very snappy, but I don't think you're snappy
1,000%.
You're sort of like calm, mellow, like you're sort of like if I had to imagine what Sade feels like, that's what I would say. Your vibe
is. I like Sade. She cute.
Yeah, like a very kind of, we're keeping the space as
peaceful and earthy as possible.
As possible.
Yeah.
But like you will also, I mean, but that doesn't mean any kind of weakness. There's also like strength in that. So like you
Yeah.
wouldn't
And
be.
I'm still snappy now. Don't do that.
Yeah, like I think somebody
Don't
cross you,
get me
yeah, you
there.
will get snappy, but like, but for the most part, if you're just at your total equilibrium, it's just peace and sort of that, like,
Yeah. 100%. I like value my peace. I tell Courtney this all the time. Protect your peace because that's where I'm at, So that's
yeah,
true. That's accurate.
that's what
That's
I
good.
say.
Okay, that's good.
And then like, did the animals are a part of it? Like, you have a nurturing side, and you're
Yeah, I
very
got a
knowledgeable
zoo.
about the things that you nurture,
Yeah.
and you stick with it, and yeah. But I think you're also willing to try like different things too, like doing the nails and um,
Mm-hmm.
even doing neutrals.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I think
doing nails is like my new hobby.
yeah,
Like
like
how random.
you're like exploratory as well
Yeah.
in a certain
In like
realm.
a safe capacity though.
Yeah, in
So
a safe capacity. Like, I don't think either one of us are like toxic type of exploratory where we're like, yeah, we'll jump off the
yeah.
cliff.
No,
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 we're like,
absolutely
no.
not. No. No.
But yeah,
Okay,
that's
that's fair. Okay, so how would I describe you?
mm-hmm.
Um, as far as like physically, I would say definitely giving like early 2000s at all times, like Bratz doll majority of the time. Um, I would say you're probably like a good like average height, 5'6", 5'7".
Mm-hmm. That's
Very
considered. I
like
think you consider 5'7" tall for women. Like that's the beginning
really
of tall for women. 5'7". A lot
well,
people consider that it's not like tall,
yeah,
but it's like the beginning of okay, you're not a short or average
short,
woman.
yeah. Oh well, I guess we'll maybe like average to tall.
Yeah.
So what else? I would say um definitely I hate to say this, but almost like unapproachable. I hate to say that. But you're just like no, like very much like I'm more no nonsense for the most part, but Courtney's like 10,000 steps beyond me. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say that. What else would I say?
I don't know if it's a good thing. Maybe this is just revealing my toxic trait.
Hey, I don't know.
I
But
mean, like, no, be honest. Absolutely be honest.
yeah, no, I don't know if that's a toxic trait because I think also too, like in the world that we live in, like people are
You feel
weird,
like you have to
you
do
know?
that.
Yeah, people are really strange. And so it's just like, in some instance, like you just don't want everybody in your space. So like I get
Yeah.
it. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, first of all, society has made this idea of that you should be approachable anyway. So,
Yeah. And I think that's kind of
that's,
problematic too.
yeah,
Especially
exactly.
as
So,
women, we do feel like I should be able to be totally comfortable with you at all
mhm.
times. Like you should be contributing to my happiness at all times. And it's like, what about that woman's outlook? What is she feeling? Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, that's kind of why I think sometimes like being unapproachable is not necessarily a bad thing because like the times when I do try to be kind, the times I have tried to be kind, it always backfires because then people think you're like people just interpret kindness in the wrong way. Like we're living in extremes of times. Either kindness means you want to sleep with them, or not kindness means you're a B. You know what I mean? Like people don't really understand the gray area. I feel like.
Yeah, I think we're living in a society too where like a lot of people are also trying to take advantage of any and every um,
Yeah,
opportunity, whether that's a person, a job, whatever. And so,
yeah,
in the back of that mind, because like, don't be wrong, um, in certain aspects, like, you kind of have to have that mentality. So I'm
hmm
pretty sure we've done it before, you know what I mean? So it's like, if I'm doing it, I know you're doing it, you know what I mean? And
yeah,
normally I don't do it with like grime or to be grimy. It's just, the way of life kind of thing, I
yeah,
guess, in today's society. But
yeah.
like, how can I
Okay,
trust
yeah.
you?
So what do you think? Is that like the only way you would describe me physically, or like anything else you think physically
No.
you just like stand out?
Yeah, what else I was gonna say was that like I think, but like once you approach you, um, especially like if you are like maybe an artist and stuff like that, um, you definitely can get like further. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I
with
opened
you.
it very quickly, actually.
I don't know
think.
about that.
You don't think so?
I don't think.
I think I
No,
do.
I think you're very slow to warm up. But I think that about myself too. Like I'm not quite. I have to observe first. I feel like you're the same way. Like
Yeah.
make sure your actions aren't sketchy,
Yeah. Well, I
and
will
then
say
we
I'm
can like go
observing from the
for it.
moment I meet someone, you know.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
As it should be. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So I think also I would say like very slow to like warm up, but like once you get there, then it's pretty much an open book.
Mm-hmm.
I think also too very like creative. Um, what else? I would say very interested in like healing personally and like being around things that are kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as far as like personality, I guess I'm kind of talking about personality now. I
Mm-hmm.
would say, what else would I say? Really into like filmmaking. Um, but I feel like it could like expand into any art really. Like there is no art that I feel like you would not try or like you have not tried to mix into your
To your
film.
work, yeah.
So,
I'm definitely would. I don't know if I would consider myself like interdisciplinary, although I guess I mean I'm mainly photography and film. Like video is usually always there, but
mhm.
video or like writing or something, so it's like core. But I'm not opposed to like a sculpture or an installation or something. Like once you start the ball rolling with art, you just keep going. I would do a
Right.
painting.
So I
It's
feel
like
like
if
you've
you're
all done like
painting,
you've done all of that. Like it's maybe except for like paintings and stuff like that, but you've done
yeah,
like all the like sculptures and you know what I mean?
yeah.
So
I wish I could make more sculptures though. I just like where would I put it? You know, I don't know.
that's you need a studio space.
No, for real. For real. I need a studio and an agent. That's like top of the list. Find that.
You
But
run me
yeah,
my money.
right. Seriously. That's another conversation. But yeah, okay. Cool.
Okay.
Well, okay, so my first question for you is mine go right into the heavy hitters. How does one earn your vulnerability? Have I earned it? How can I earn more?
I say honestly, vulnerability. Probably time. That's probably the best thing. Like I need to be able to trust you.
Yeah.
Um, but I'm not gonna say it's a quick process like time. The granted, Courtney has always kind of like had it just because we're twins, right? We like she's
Mhm.
all I've ever known. So if I had to say anybody has it the most, it's probably Courtney. Um,
Mhm.
but that's just because we were like even though we have different experiences, we've always experienced everything pretty much together. The only time we've been separated was college,
Yeah.
and like now because we don't live together. But um, so yeah, I would say just probably just time
Yeah.
and like honesty, trust.
Have I okay, so you kind of answered have I earned it? How can I earn more?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can answer that.
Earn more.
Is there
I
more
say
to
to
be
earn
earned?
more. I don't
Is there
know, but
more?
I will say I'm not sure about that because I mean you pretty much know everything. But I would say
Mhm.
to earn more. I think honestly, just being less judgmental. That's probably the biggest thing I would say. I
Yeah,
feel like you've gotten better with that though. But
I have.
I would say probably
Life
just being
humbled
less
me, bro.
judgmental and being open minded. Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. The things you've been going through,
I,
I fucking
I,
bet.
yeah, I don't. I can't judge nobody. Period. Ain't nothing to judge. But yeah, no, I think Caitlin's absolutely correct. I think I used to be more judgmental, but I look back on that time and I think I was just more unsure about how life works. So I've always been the type to like, if I don't know how it works, how can I like plan and figure out how it works and like study it? That's not how life works.
At
Life is going
all.
to drag you through something regardless. So it's your best bet to let a lot of stuff go. Not just, I don't
Yeah,
want to say
life's
just
gonna
go with
drag
the
you through the
flow.
mud. So
Yeah. So move intentionally, but be prepared to let some stuff go and realize that
yeah.
people are doing the best they can with what they have and that people make decisions for different reasons.
Yeah.
That was
Yep.
that was something
That's
I had to learn. Like I mean I feel like I've been, less judgmental for a couple of years now. But I think before college I was much more judgmental of not just like Caitlin, but everybody. I think I was, you know, you should be this, you should do that. Which in turn meant I was also kind of hard on myself
yeah.
then than I am now.
hmm
So I thought like,
Yeah,
oh
no,
well,
I
I need
definitely think it was like a standard that we were trying to not necessarily uphold, but like, there's just certain things we were not allowed. Well, there's a
Yeah.
lot of things we were allowed to do, but there was just certain things we weren't allowed to do, which made us
Yeah.
kind of like keep up with this certain standard and look and image because that was kind of pushed on us. So we were raised by an
Yeah.
African American mother, and those things are common.
Yeah.
So, but now that we're, our own individuals, like we're figuring out what works for us, like getting rid of those old traumatic
Ideas and like, yeah.
ideas and views, standards, blah blah blah, and figuring out what truly works for me.
Yeah.
So,
It's like, is this how I want to live? Is that really how I want to live? And answering
seriously.
that for yourself and figuring it out, like it's like coming out of a cocoon, like really
Yeah.
becoming your own butterfly or just
Seriously.
finding your own way in the world because everybody grows up with something, right? No matter what that system is. And you once you start to really interrogate, like, was that even, first off, what's the trauma from that? Because a lot of times it's trauma. Then number
Yeah.
two, like, is that even something I like? Is it something I even want to carry into my future life? You know what I mean? Those are real adult questions you start to ask. And I think too, like, I wouldn't even say like especially what Caitlin mentioned, like we grew up with a black mom and mom was actually like fairly relaxed. Like in certain black households, mom will be considered quite liberal, quite like
100%.
progressive in certain black households because of the way she raised us and some of the things she was relaxed on her I wouldn't call them, she was never relaxed on a standard. The rules weren't these like suffocating rules.
Rigid.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. She was very big on like, she kind of had like a style of like gentle parenting almost of like natural, maybe not even gentle parenting, more of like natural consequences. So.
Yeah, it was definitely, like I was saying, the standard was, this is how you come into the household. This is what minimum you need to achieve. This is what you need to, like, that was a clear standard. But the rules under it, like basically the playbook, she wasn't sitting there like making us follow every single rule.
Yeah.
But when you set a standard and the standard is meet the standard in the household, you don't have to hold hand for the rules if you're just meeting the standard. That's my personal opinion. And I think that's why mom's parenting worked, is because it was more, this is the standard versus, trying to nitpick everything we did,
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree to that.
Honestly, a good example would be like, okay, you could stay out or sneak out at 2 or 3 a.m. You get caught or the cops come knocking, looking for you.
You're going to jail.
Or you get caught with alcohol, or you get caught doing something that you weren't supposed to be doing. I don't know what to tell you, because the standard in my household was you don't do that. You know what I mean?
Or if you do that, like at least tell somebody.
Tell somebody and don't, it's not about like just not getting caught, is you shouldn't be thinking about doing that in the first place because what the consequences are. You know what I mean?
Exactly, yeah.
So that's what, but mom wasn't sitting out like, how some parents kind of run behind kids and be like, oh, so-and-so, they put trackers on phone and like do all these kind of like extra moves to like watch. It was never that. It was, I said what she was like, I said my piece. What the consequences are.
And for the most part, she was not going to like argue with you, like, or like go back and forth and like fight you and all that stuff. Like that was, we didn't do that.
We didn't do that. Yeah. It was, the consequences are, I'm not going to be your savior when you have to face the consequences. You know what I mean?
So, yeah.
And so to me, that's even scarier for a kid because it's like, as a kid, you already don't have a lot. Then you go in.
You have nothing.
You have nothing. And then it's like the one person who could is like, you're sitting in the decisions that you make, which makes you rethink the decision. You know what I mean?
100%. So, yeah, no, that definitely like helped. I will say that helped in like adulthood though, because like there was just a lot of things we just didn't.
Yeah, there was stuff
we didn't do, and like we are like very aware of the consequences.
Yeah, it was. I remember specifically like going to college. I was like, I'm not doing that frat stuff. I'm not doing like and it takes a lot of strength because the peer pressure is there to do that stuff.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, because that's like their first time getting any like semblance of like freedom.
Semblance of freedom, but like for us, if I wanted to, yeah, I probably could have done that in high school. Could have figured out a way to do it. But what was the consequences? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was always thinking that deep into it, and it's because it was always the consequences are back on you if you decide to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mommy is not saving you.
Oh, at
You don't
all.
have daddy to save you. Nobody is coming
Yeah.
to save you but
Yeah.
you.
At
And then
all.
that's scary to a 16-year-old because, like, what am I going to do?
Facts. Mind you, like you have nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
you have
you don't have
nothing.
anything. So
Exactly. So I think that was her style of parenting, but I think that was effective because
oh no, 100%.
you're always put in a position to think about the result of your actions rather than just the feeling of doing the action. Because I
Yeah.
think when you just say, don't do this or don't do that, and you really try to track and hold and restrain your kids, the kid's like, well, why not do it?
Facts.
Because
And I
they're
think
thinking
also too,
that
like
parent.
the child needs to be held responsible in whatever decisions that they make, right? Because
Yeah.
that person is going to be an adult one day. And so by
Mm-hmm.
you not holding them responsible, then you're, making yourself the answer every
Yeah, every
time.
time.
Which
Or it feels like
is
I have to
you didn't
please
expect
mom.
said person to be an adult. Like, no.
Yeah. It feels like your actions are all about the parent versus making individual decisions for yourself. It feels
Exactly. For
like if I
yourself.
mess up, mom is going to be blah, blah, blah. I
Yeah,
knew if I
mom's gonna
messed
come save
up,
the day.
Courtney's behind was on the line, which is a different feeling. It wasn't Beatrice. It wasn't Catelyn. It was anybody. It was Courtney,
Yeah.
which is different when you have ownership of that for yourself.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why we didn't do crazy stuff because
It wasn't worth
where
it.
were we going to go? Where was I going to go if I got into some mess? Exactly. So you just don't do it. And especially, I mean, when you're home, it's not like we were running away from like a bad home or like bad circumstance. You know what I mean? It would have just been trying
Yeah.
to explore and like do the like taboo thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Which my mom was like pretty like open. Like there's a lot of things that like she was just like open to us trying at home in a safe place versus doing it out in the streets kind of thing. So like that
yeah,
was also kind of helpful.
yeah. And I think just exposure to like reality of things growing up, it was no taboo to it. It was like if
Yeah.
you can talk about these things as long as we're doing it respectfully and you bring it to me as like out of genuine trying to like understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
We
Very
never had to be
open
like,
like
yeah, it
household.
was open because I mean, there's only so much you can shield your child from the reality of the world.
Yeah.
There was never any sneaking around.
Yeah, no.
Really.
And
There really
even if it was
wasn't.
like you're staying out late, all you had to do is like talk to mom. Like literally just talk to her.
Yeah,
And she was usually like, okay, well then what time are you gonna be home kind of thing. Like it was never it was really just more about communication. Like communicate what you need and then we can figure out what we're doing.
yeah.
So
I mean, sometimes she'll call and be like, if we stay out and we haven't called, she'll call, but I'm checking on you, making sure you're cool. You
yeah.
know, but it's not this sort of like panic, look what you're doing to me type thing. Like I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
parents redirect their children's behavior into this is it, like they make it about them and the kid gets resentful of that. you
Yeah.
know
No, mom never did that. But I think also too, like there was two of us and there was one of her, like she had to pick her battles.
Yeah, you had to pick her
So
battles. And I think she knew us like we personally just weren't the type to go like do crazy stuff. So like
yeah,
there's a
no.
good chance if we like were going out here doing something that like she was already aware of and
Yeah,
maybe
and with people that
just
she
about
knew,
late.
like it was never really sketchy.
Yeah. So I think, I mean, it was like partly we just weren't the type of kids to go crazy, but I think the other part of it
Yeah.
was her parenting style was I'm not holding your hand. A,
Oh, for
because I
sure.
can't, but B, because if I hold your hand, I'm
I
crippling
won't.
you. Yeah. It's like, and we've known, the thing is, in our family and even other people, we know parents who tried to hold their kid's hand, dang near wring their kid's neck to try to make sure their kid followed a certain path. And that kid rebelled
Mm-hmm.
like crazy. And
Crazy.
you're like, honestly, all you can say is like, why were you trying? You're making this about you as the parent versus the child being responsible for themselves as
Yeah.
an individual. And some kids are wild, and then the parent. I think the best thing for the parent to do is you got it. You made that decision as an individual, an adult. You have to face consequences. If that means you sit 30 days in jail,
you gotta do it.
you need to learn it. You know what I mean?
I can promise you, my mother was not about to come get me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we did something really wild. She wasn't about to bail us out. You learn that lesson the hard way.
By
I told
yourself
you
in jail.
beforehand not to do it. You know what I mean? And I gave you the resources.
Which, in my personal opinion, it was really effective. Like we, like Courtney said, we have always been like knowledgeable about the consequences, and making us, I guess you could say, critically think about those things at all times. Like, do you want to make this decision? Because you need to know what the consequences are. So.
Exactly.
It really was beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, and that's what the real world is. Nobody's coming to save you when you mess up.
Oh, no.
Unfortunately, nobody's coming to save you. You save yourself.
Pretty much.
Exactly.
So what was your question again?
Yeah, I know we got on a diatribe, but yes, it was about vulnerability. It was
okay, so I guess I need to I answered it for myself. You gotta answer it. It's your turn to answer. Okay. I already answered.
How does one earn your vulnerability? Have I earned it? How can I earn more? Okay. How does one earn my vulnerability? I think, like Caitlin said, it definitely is a time thing. For sure. Definitely a time thing. But I think another thing too is I have to know that I'm in a safe space with you. Like I have to know undoubtedly, unquestionably that I'm in a safe space with that person. And again, that takes time because that's relying on trust, and that's relying on seeing your actions time and time again prove that you are a safe space. That's usually where people fall off for me, is the time and time again. They might be able to do it 1, 2, 3 times, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, which is where I'm looking to get to. That's where they fall off, oftentimes.
Okay.
So
that's fair.
And that might get into the question of how can someone earn more, is by, first off, you need to be genuine. Don't just wait until, don't just be, well, check 1, 2, 3, 4 and keep going further and further. You need that's who you need to be. I need to know that if I've never entered your life, this is the way you would behave with other people. You know what I mean? And a lot of the people that I end up cutting off, moving out of my life, show me, honestly, sometimes very early on, that's not the kind of person they are, and that's what I usually get asked. Pro tip for those of y'all who are wondering why I don't speak to you anymore. That's why. Okay. And then what was the other one? Yeah, how can I earn more? Haven't earned it. Yeah, Catelyn definitely earned it. I don't think there's nothing I wouldn't bring up to Catelyn. Nothing I wouldn't explain to her. I don't even.
We got 20-something years on our belt, so there you go.
Exactly. I think very early on we just had each other's trust. And it's because we just had so many similar life experiences. It's the hardest parts of our lives we have been through. So you trust that person has your best interest. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, we were supporting each other when there was nothing.
Yeah.
So all we had was each other's best interest in survival,
For sure. Yeah, no, that's true.
So, yeah, that's what I would say for that question.
Okay. All right. So my next one is, what parts of yourself do you see in me?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, I think superficially, I think we have a lot of very similar outlooks on life, which would make sense because we were raised together.
Yeah.
True. The way we move. Well, we might do different things on the surface. Caitlyn's obviously into her animals and doing nails and stuff like that. But I think,
I feel like that's not really different because you used to be really into animals. It's just we kind of switch.
Yeah, we kind of switch as we grew up and discovered more about ourselves. But I think that's the core stuff that I see. In you, I think we both, like we mentioned earlier, we're both sort of no nonsense. So
for sure.
That's definitely something I see in you, and that I see in me. I'm trying to think of anything else. I mean, I'm sure it's very clearly on the surface, but okay. What do you think?
I would say definitely our no nonsense. I would say also almost kind of our experiences, even though we experienced it differently.
Yeah.
What else? I would say kind of like I would agree with like maybe our outlook on life. Like we both want more out of life and we know there's more, just like in the
Mhm.
process of figuring out how can we get that, you know?
Yeah.
What else? I'd say, um, what parts of yourself do you see in me? Bunnies. We both like bunnies.
Yeah, we do both like bunnies.
What else? I think also like maybe like traveling and stuff like that. Like we know
Yeah.
there's more to life than good old South Carolina, and so we're both
Mhm.
like figuring that out. How we figure that out. Um, and then maybe just like maybe our passions. So we're both passionate about different things on different
Different levels.
echelons, essentially. But
Yeah.
when we're in it, we're like in it. So
Yeah.
I say that.
Agreed. Yeah. I think you answered even like better than I did. Like that's what I would say. It's like we're the same but different.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. That's how I kind of
for
like
sure.
sum us up. If you had to put it in one sentence, you know. So
But
cool.
granted, we're twins, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So my next question is based on what you learned about me or what you know, what book would you recommend that I read?
Ooh, okay. So I'm not like a huge book reader.
Uh-huh.
Um, so uh, I'm like trying to think of a book. You probably read all these books. There's a book I don't know who it's by, but it's called Speak. I read it as a kid, and that book just like really like spoke to me.
Oh
So I
yeah,
say
yeah, I
that.
did read Speak. I think I read Speak as a
Oh, did
kid
you?
too. Yeah.
Okay, I would
Right.
say
They're like
that.
kind
I
of
feel I
movies.
need to reread it, even though I
Wasn't
think
that
it's
a
like a
movie?
teen. Yeah, they made it into a movie too. Yeah, with
Doesn't it have
that girl
Kristen
that played
Stewart
in
in it?
Twilight.
Yeah, Kristen
Who?
Stewart. Kristen
Yeah,
Stewart?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
The
think I
book's
read the
better
book
though.
as well. I know I saw the movie for
I
sure.
definitely had the book, so it's possible.
Yeah.
But I would say I'm gonna reread that book because I feel like then it spoke to me. I can only imagine as an adult, and I actually get more.
Yeah.
So
Now I want to see the movie. I remember that being a really
facts.
moving movie actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder. It's probably one of those like streaming networks.
It probably is. That'd be a really good
And
movie.
then I think anything else, I would read any like type of healing books. That would be my next
Yeah.
recommendation.
I feel that. I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm down for that, honestly. I don't think I've ever read a self help book in my life. I always read fiction.
If I read a book, it's probably usually self help these
Really?
days. Yeah,
That's always so
or
interesting.
like business
The
books.
genres people pick up, versus
Yeah,
other. Because some people only pick up sci fi or like, or like
facts.
romance books. But I only pick up like fiction and usually like classical fiction,
Really?
you know? Yeah, like
Huh.
Dickens and
Oh
Shakespeare.
no. The only thing I do like, what's that book called? The Great Expectation. I actually enjoyed that book when I even had to read it.
Yeah. I like, you know what? I like Jane Eyre, which is like a big, thick, like, college
Yeah, I haven't been
entry
able to read that
course,
one. I
18th
tried, but
century British literature. I like Jane
the
Eyre.
language was like
It was
beyond me.
different. It was a little intense. I read Jane Eyre when I was
Yeah, it
12.
was. The thing
I
is,
read it
Jane
when I
Eyre,
was 12 and I
the thing
understood
is,
it.
it's not too, it's just like how they say things. Like, I was like, am I really getting what I'm supposed to be getting from this?
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I'm thinking about it. I must have looked pretentious as all crap walking around with a big, Jane Eyre book in middle school. Like I must
definitely
have looked like a total nerd.
nerd.
I read the whole thing. And I was really into it. I was like,
So
no,
good
but
for
she
you.
does like Mr. Rochester. I see the romance in this.
I didn't see the romance. I thought it was more of like, to me, it was more of like a creepy relationship.
It kind of is. I mean, it is actually. When you looking back as an adult, it is kind of creepy because he's like her
Yeah, and he
boss.
was like way older than her.
Yeah, he was significantly older, and he was like housing his like crazy ex-wife in the house.
Yeah,
He was like, that's very weird.
very.
He's like kind of a creep.
Yeah.
Actually.
And then she was really his side piece. So,
Yeah, she pretty much was his side piece.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Jane
yeah,
was good.
odd movie. I mean, odd book, in my
Yeah,
personal opinion. And for that to be your favorite is like,
I know. I think it's because
Okay.
I just accomplished reading it. It was a big accomplishment for like little me, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
And then I started reading just like more fiction from there.
Okay.
I to this day like I would definitely I choose fiction over like just any genre, like just adult fiction. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair.
So okay, books I recommend you read. I like I said, I only really read fiction, so I do think self help books would be great. Actually, I do have one self help book. Things, the book's like 20 Things in Your 20s or something. It's something like that. Something to read in your
Hmm.
20s. I started reading it the other day and I was like, no, this is good. This is helpful. It helps you
Really?
reframe your 20s, like, because you just kind of spaz out on your, okay, spaz is like a derogatory term. You freak out in your 20s
Yeah, because
and
you're trying to plan life.
because you're trying to be playing so hard in the book just helped me kind of ground, like, okay, you don't, people, everybody is struggling in their 20s. Don't, this isn't just you, you know?
Got it. Okay. Yeah, now I
So
probably should read that.
that was good. I thought it was good. I didn't finish reading it, but I did. I started reading. I was like, this is solid. I could get into this. But other than that, honestly, I'm just gonna hope. I mean, you already know. I recommend anything Toni Morrison. You
Oh
know,
God, Courtney loves
any
Toni
Toni
Morrison
Morrison
now.
book.
Go
But
ahead
I
and
think
sponsor my girl.
see it literally. But specifically, I would definitely say if you haven't, The Bluest Eye is good because that's really just good for anybody who was a little black girl to read. I think that's really good.
Okay.
And then Song of Solomon, because honestly, it's just really great, just literature. But then the themes and the intensity of the characters, as well as how it kind of relates back to, uh, or the story structure is really, really, really probing. So, Song of Solomon is what I would say for her. Um, Blue Side Song of Solomon for you, as
Got
far
it.
as
Okay.
fiction is concerned, and
All right.
the book about the 20s.
Yeah, I'm actually very interested in that one.
Yeah, that would be good. I found that at a thrift store too, and I was like, yeah, this might be good to read.
This might help your girl.
Seriously.
All right. So my next card says, "What do you think my superpower is?"
Hmm. I I genuinely think your superpower, which isn't, saving the world and like doing every cliche superpower thing. I think your superpower is like loving and nurturing animals. I
Really?
really do. I really do.
Okay.
I think that's something like very unique about you that you do like very well, very pointedly. You
Facts.
speak to them with like unconditional sort of love. Even if you're like chastising them, it's like from a loving place.
Yeah.
You treat
You talking about
them.
Ocean? I know who you talk about.
Yeah, no, we're talking about Ocean
There's only
Album.
one. There's only
Only
one.
one. Um, yeah, and you like have the ability, I think, to connect with them on like a really personal level that I think is it's like it could be used for good because like how many animal souls could you like possibly save or
Yeah.
really educate humans about or whatever, like I just see that. So I think that's a superpower. It's a superpower to me to be that nurturing and in tuned and connected,
Okay. Well, I appreciate
especially to
that.
lives who can't do, like you do that for lives who can't do anything for you,
Yeah.
you know like they don't, there's nothing they
Well,
do for you besides give you like snuggles and cuddles, and like that's great, but you're
and
not
destroy
like,
my house.
yeah, and destroy your house. Like honestly, they take more than they get.
Oh, 100%.
And like every animal
But
you
they don't
leave,
talk. That's always a positive for me.
yeah, they don't talk, but like I mean, it doesn't stop them from doing stuff. So,
Oh,
and they
absolutely
communicate in
not.
other ways.
And we're
So
specifically talking about Ocean because
yes,
he's the main
thank you,
culprit of
Ocean.
all of these negative traits.
Exactly. So yeah,
Okay,
I
well, I
think that is
appreciate
a
that. That's
superpower.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay. I think your superpower would be, I would say probably boundaries. You're really good
Mm-hmm.
at like boundaries and boundary setting and like being aware of like, you know what, I don't feel like you're being genuine, cutting this off, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think also too, you're really good at like, I would say like critically thinking about things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Especially when it comes to like your art and stuff like that. You
Mm-hmm.
are always thinking about like what is the kind of like the bigger picture from this? What is the lesson in this kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
So I say critically thinking and definitely boundaries.
Cool. No, I appreciate it. I take those as compliments for
Yeah.
sure.
No, agreed.
Because I definitely think that it's good to have boundaries, and I think sometimes because I'm like such a young person and have I state boundaries so quickly, it sort of like throws people off because they expect young people to have no boundaries
Put
at
up with
all and not understand
anything.
them.
Ugh. Yeah.
What do you say?
Put up with literally anything because they're
Yeah, they
young.
expect you're used to, like, they're always like extra shocked that I'm like, no, you know what I mean, and like recognize it very quickly. So, but I'm that's something I really try to keep up, and you have to in today's world, I think, you know.
Facts.
And then creatively, I actually like. I hope this doesn't sound vain. I don't think it's vain. I think that's a superpower too, to be able to tie your creativity to your critical thinking, because some people don't do that. You know what I mean?
Facts.
Some people really do just make things, and that it's not critical. And not that everything I feel like has to be a critique or whatever. Everything doesn't have to be quote serious or whatever. But I think having that ability puts your work on a different level.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that's something I'm proud of. I sort of don't even know where it comes from, but I hope that I want to continue to tap into that and continue to make work from that place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what makes my work me, is because it's coming from my lens and it's coming from a critical lens, but it's self-reflective. It's looking at the rest of the world. It's looking at everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think also too that's kind of like almost makes your art different in a way, just because a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people are not. But most people are making it for the consumer, the satisfaction of the consumer,
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily to necessarily think. So
Yeah. Well, something I want people to understand seriously is that, like, this comes from like the depths of my soul, and that sounds so like cliche, but it really does. It comes from I don't make things unless it comes from somewhere. I really don't, you
facts.
know. So, and not that other people don't. Maybe their stuff comes from somewhere, but I personally, it doesn't feel good to me if it doesn't come from somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, that's me though. So, okay. So my next question: why do you think we met? Like, why do you think
Because
our
we're
why?
twins.
Yeah, I know. I was like, this is kind of a weird question, but
I think okay, so on maybe like a soul level, we can talk about
yeah,
it.
that's what I was thinking. You could do that.
I think we met because I think, especially growing up, our experience, I don't know, like I feel like though I was more of like, I guess you could say the mom, the caregiver growing up, um, you were more of like an escapist almost. But I feel like we
Mm-hmm.
needed an equal balance of that. So I would say growing up, we definitely like needed that. Um,
Yeah.
and then as we got older and you started pulling your weight and doing more of like the cooking and stuff, and I would do more of like making sure everybody's like good or like cleaning or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't imagine like going through a lot of the experiences without somebody, even if it wasn't you. I just could not, like, that would be, I don't know, I just feel like that would be like a death sentence almost.
Yeah, I get
um
that. I think given our
so
parent who put us through some stuff,
yeah,
I think that would have been more leeway for that parent to
get away with
do
murder.
more horrific activities. Let's just say that.
Exactly. Exactly. So I think that's like one of the main reasons.
Yeah.
Definitely just like
It's like a
growing up and
protection.
like those experiences.
Yeah.
One more time.
I was saying protection, like,
Yeah,
you know,
for sure. 100%. Like I literally could not imagine doing that by myself.
yeah.
And just like,
And you
how
do
things kind of
really
like
tough.
ended, like that would have been bad.
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
I think I agree. I think that's why our souls came in together in mom's womb, is
oh, for
because
sure.
like, because somehow, some way, the higher power, God, knew that we were that like we would endure that, and we like needed to be there to
Yeah,
be each
like
other's
protect or
keeper.
help each other out,
Yeah, be
walk
each
through it.
other's protector, keepers, and
Yeah, and I think also too, like I don't know if we talked about it on here, but we personally have talked about this. We never really had to I'll speak for myself. I never really had to make a friend until college, right? And just
mhm,
having that built-in friend, especially going through something that was traumatic,
mhm.
was like a godsend. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because that not only were you going through it with me, you were like my friend. You knew what I was talking about. I wasn't delusional. I didn't have to second guess myself. Like
yeah,
it almost like helped with like my confidence and like allowed me to experience what I was experienced, but hold people accountable. So it was, I think overall like that would be the biggest thing.
yeah. I think having that other person, it was a lot of like the potential gaslighting and dismissal of our
Yeah,
experiences and stuff. That a lot of that stuff we were able to mitigate because we were both saying this, and we're
yeah,
both standing behind the experience like 10 toes down. It's not just,
exactly.
you know what I mean? Because I think
Facts. And it's like
sometimes,
one was saying something and then the other one was like, yeah, that happened. It's like, okay, hold on,
hold on, yeah, people
um
have a different response to
yeah,
the crowd saying something versus one person like, oh well, that's just your experience, or what, that's just your, and that must be
exactly.
the trouble with kids who are single, who were born by themselves or only
Yeah,
experience that trauma by themselves, because it's so much easier to just gaslight. You're already a young person, and then they're just trying to gaslight you. Oh, that didn't really happen. You don't really know what you're talking about.
yeah,
That's your perception
exactly,
of this event. But we were always there to like corroborate and say, no, that happened to her because this happened to me. And I saw what happened to her, and she saw what happened to me. You know what I mean? And like,
exactly,
we were
exactly.
always there to
So
do
I mean, it
that.
was hard to get over because it was like if one's not telling, the other is. So
Yeah, it was. And then we were both like strong in what we said and how we dealt
so
with
for
it. And
sure.
we always, we always had a unified voice. And
Facts.
it wasn't like we even necessarily discussed having a unified voice as kids.
Yeah.
It was just because we were experiencing the same
Things.
issues
Yeah.
from the same person typically.
Exactly.
And so it was automatically unified. You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, I
So
think that's why our souls were definitely made to be together.
yeah. I think that's a big reason. And then I mean I think the other thing, just like on a lighter level, is like we can enjoy each other's company. We can, even though we're different, like we can still vibe and respect each other's space. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
So it's like somebody who's like meant who starts out in your life and is meant to be there for the long haul through
Yeah.
from the beginning to the end, which is sort of rare. Like everybody doesn't have that. Like somebody who really goes from birth till, passing and lives a
Hmm.
lifetime with somebody. Most
Yeah, that's
times
true.
people go in and out of your life.
Hmm. Yeah, that's true. I think also too with like our parents kind of being like unstable,
Hmm.
as far as like our relationships are concerned, like we offer each other a level of stability.
Yeah,
Um, so
for sure. We're able to be the
exactly,
rock when our parents
exactly.
are
Aren't.
faltering.
Yeah,
Aren't.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I
Yeah.
think also to that, because I think that like it is hard to maneuver in the world when you don't have some level of support. So
Mm,
even if it's not necessarily financial support, you at least know, what, if something really does go down, I probably could call Courtney. You know.
yeah.
So
Or you can
I'll say that.
or like I can call Caitlin. And a lot of times, like at this point in our lives, because we just take care of ourselves, like when we're calling is for counsel, like seeking counsel or advice or
Yeah.
something. Um, and again, like we had a long conversation the other day about our mom. We did, and I think like you end up you see a different perspective, but it's also nice that someone can validate, like, no, what you're feeling is correct because that's how I also feel,
Yeah.
or I also see this and I see that, and that's how you're able to kind of, you know, it breaks stigmas in some ways, and it helps you think, okay, well, I'm not crazy. You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
allows you to speak things through with somebody. It opens a door. Not that I don't feel like we use each other as a therapist or a crutch.
Yeah.
But like because we understand each other so intimately and our experiences are so intimate. When we talk about someone as close to us as our parents, I know I can say something even slight, and Caitlin immediately knows what I'm talking about. There's
Yeah.
no like, and it's because she knows fully. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that's what I would say. Did we both answer that question?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I said, why do you think we met? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, you want to go ahead with your next question?
Yeah. Okay. Mine says, what do I need to hear right now?
Hmm. I guess I'll say this because you kind of already apologized to me. I don't know if I ever voiced this to you, and I guess maybe the podcast ain't the place to do it, but we're healing, right? We're right.
Right.
So,
Better now than never.
yeah, better now than never. So, I guess I'll say this. I don't know if you have to hear it now, but it's like something that did like that really like shook me to my core and really affected
Mm-hmm.
me. Was like it was back. It wasn't that long ago. It was like right after I had finished my screening of Clout for the first time, and we like got into a
Mm-hmm.
really big argument, and the rest of the argument was fluff, whatever. But what really like stuck me like to my core and like really bothered me seriously was like when you were like, I don't like you'll never be successful. I don't think you're never going to be successful because you're an a-hole to people, and I just don't see it. That bothered me. I
Okay.
think you apologized for it like later when we had that conversation like a while ago,
Mm-hmm.
but it bothered me because I was like, not because I've heard you're not gonna be successful or people already said things, but like when my sister, the closest person to me, like does not believe in me like that, because I take your opinions like so seriously, you and mom's opinion so seriously, it's like earth shattering. So that's all I can really say
Okay.
about that.
So, first thing I'll say is that when I said that, that wasn't because I didn't support you. It was just your actions, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it came to how things were handled.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it really had nothing to do with your potential. I think anybody, including you, can achieve anything, but you have to be mindful of how you're treating people in the process, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so that's where I was coming from. In the heat of the moment, I can bet you I did not articulate that very well. So that is what I meant by that. So I don't want you to take it as I don't think that you cannot be successful, but I do want you to know that you do have to be mindful of how you treat people. And I think that happened before you moved, but now that you've moved and you've lived where you used to live, I
Mm-hmm.
think you understand that concept a lot more now, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Um, I mean, you don't have to be nasty you kill them with kindness, and that got you further in the long run. You know what I mean? In
Yeah.
that situation. So, like for
Yeah.
that example, that's what I mean by that. Like, you just need to be careful how you treat people.
Oh, yeah.
So,
I understood that part of it like in the moment because that
mm-hmm,
was already a critique I had about myself. Like that was already, I guess, if you had to say I had an insecurity, it wasn't about being successful or not, but like how are people perceiving me? You know,
mm-hmm,
which I guess is an insecurity a lot of people have. But I don't know. I guess because it came out as a direct like hit, and you knew what
yeah,
hit me. You know what I mean?
yeah, and
I
I think
can,
also too that was not the time to say that. So,
yeah. I mean, other people have said that to me. Other less important people have said that to me 3, 4, 5 times to my face. Have said that, and
yeah,
I literally every time they say it, it rolls off my back. I laugh and move on. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
I like, you know, I like when you said that, it's totally different. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's fair.
So, but I think since then, like you apologize for just how you were saying things and how you were coming off. So I think you recognize too that like what I was how I was saying things, like
Oh
no
yeah, it
matter what
just
my
wasn't
intention
working.
was, it was not being received the way I intended it, and it was because of the way I deliver things. You know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think
So,
also too, like in that process, like I learned that like there's a time and a place, and like I think at the end of the day, like that conversation was just extremely heated.
Yeah, very
I was
heated.
extremely tired. I was extremely hungry. I was over it.
Yeah.
And so it was just like, you know, a lot of things that I probably should not even taken out on you in the first place.
Mm.
Which I did. So that, you know, that's part of the reason why I apologize too, is because all that was not your fault. So what I learned from that myself is also to just like, in the heat of the moment, like think before you speak. I'm not really a person to think before I speak. I'm just not. And that there's no excuse for that, really, right? But
Mm.
and I think also too being aware that there's somebody else on the other side that's receiving that information and just being more like mindful of that.
Yeah.
Um, so you know now I know that. Um,
I think that's so
and just
ironic. Like not even to like call y'all, but you were saying, which is a valid critique for me, is like how you talk to people, how you treat people, like that's gonna F you up. That's basically what you were saying. And in that moment, that's what you were doing.
well, see, the thing is, it was just because I was like fed up. Because normally
No,
I'm like,
I
you
mean
know
I
what,
know.
this is
I'm
just
just
not
saying
worth
that's
the
what
fight.
I know, I hear that. I'm just saying like that's how those moments end up being, is like the very thing you're trying to tell someone not to do is what you end up doing
Oh, for
in
sure,
those
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of heated moments, you know?
yeah, yeah. You know, it was just because I was just like, I'm done. Like I'm done, like trying to protect, you know, your peace at the expense of mine. Like I was just done. Like I was not having it. So,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you know also too, like I, as much as you learn from it, I learned from it too. Um, and going forward, I think it has done us pretty well, personally. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
I mean, life
I will apologize again. I'm sorry to make you like have felt that way, and that's definitely not what I meant by it. So
mhm. Well, I
I
accept your apology. And I
thank
mean, I
you.
accepted it like, a while ago, but I do accept your apology. And like that's, like you said, I think that's a valid critique. Like how you behave is how people are reading you, and you need to be aware of that, you know?
Yeah,
Doesn't mean you have
yeah,
to back down. You don't have to relax boundaries. You don't have,
hmm
you know what I mean? But you have to be aware of like your behavior, you know?
for sure. And I think also too, like respect is kind of like with the respect thing. I think we oftentimes want that, but like we don't see it from the other side, right? We only see it from our perspective. You have to respect me, but you have to be willing to give that just as much.
Exactly. Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah.
Okay. Did we both answer that question?
I
Oh, no,
that's
you
what
didn't
I
ask
haven't
me.
answered it for you.
Yeah, what do you
I
think I need
think
to hear right now?
I think right now you need to hear. Hmm, I think like everything's gonna work out and be okay. I think that like sometimes I used to be like this person too, just stressing about everything being figured out and like getting all these things accomplished and done and blah 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 blah. Um,
Hmm.
but once I came to the conclusion that like you know what will be will be. That's not to say that you shouldn't have an active part in making things happen for yourself, but just kind of like relaxing in that and not stressing out by the little things that you really cannot control. It really
Hmm.
does just change how you move into the world, and it's just a lot more peaceful, like a lot more peaceful. So
Yeah.
I'd say just like live your life how you live your life, do what you have to do, let go of those standards and things, which is ironic that I'm saying that because I used to be like, oh, make sure you do blah, 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 blah. But
Hmm.
like let go of these like standards and ideas and just figuring what works for you. Like find your groove in life and do that. I saw this thing the other day and it was saying how like, in your 20s, you're doing X, Y, and Z. By your 30s, you'll be doing something completely different. So,
Hmm.
just go through the course of life, figuring it out just like anybody else would. So,
Yeah, I agree. I think, well, I mean, like about the particulars of what's like been happening in my life recently, but
yeah.
um, but I think, I mean, that's great because that is exactly what I needed to hear, and something I've always had wrestled with, because I think I've always been in a position to just plan, figure
hmm
out, and have it, set, and then move in that lane. And then so when something
hmm
happens, I get I'm like more frazzled, and I'm like kind of freaking out about
Yeah,
it. And it's like
exactly.
you can't control everything, and
Seriously.
the times I really try to control everything, things still can happen. There's no predicting it. So you have to get comfortable in this like uncomfortableness
Oh,
of
100%.
allowing things to happen, which has been a transition for me is to allow things to happen,
Yep.
And so
Let it
yeah,
be
I
a
think
lesson
that's
learned,
something.
move forward.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a big lesson I've definitely had to learn, and I think that it doesn't help that like the career path I want to take is to like be, an artist, writer, director, because that's so much planning. That's so much
Hmm.
planning and execution,
Yeah,
and
but I
that's
think it's more of like playing the things that you can play and the things you cannot, just let it be.
yeah. I just think I take that method of take that art method and put it into personal, like, okay, well, I can plan this, I can do that, blah, blah, blah. And it's like,
Yeah.
you can plan everything and it really all can just be upended. And you
Yep.
still are going to be in a position to have to, go with it,
Facts.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's true. Yep.
So,
Yeah, that's what I
yeah,
think that you need to hear, because I think like I've heard you kind of like stressing out about certain things, and I think I've kind of been like, just let it be. Like, you'll figure it
it's
out, I
a big
promise
deal,
you.
yeah.
And just because like it's not worth stressing over, or like, we've seen the things that stress can do to people. It's not worth losing your life over. It's not worth like, it's just not worth it.
Exactly.
So
Exactly, yeah. And then, like, when things really do work out for you, you'd be like, why was I spent all that
that's it.
time stressed out about what?
Exactly.
So far in the
So
past.
yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. That's
Well,
absolutely what I need to hear. I mean, the last year I've had.
oh, I know. And don't be wrong. Like, I probably would have been stressed too, because it's been nothing but.
It's one thing after another for me. It's
Oh
been one
yeah.
thing after another. I will
Yeah.
say
I
that.
hate to say hell, but damn near.
Damn near,
Damn
yeah,
near.
damn near. Um, yeah, and it's just so interesting because I mean, maybe that's what it had to be. Like coming out here was so freeing and so like, liberating for me. And you
Mm,
like and then things just sort of like upend in different ways. And
yeah. But I think
so
that's like a
maybe that's
valuable
what needed
lesson in
to happen.
life. Yeah, I was
Yeah,
gonna say, I think that's a very valuable lesson in life. Everything, I love to say this, but everything really happens for a reason in a season. And when that season is up, let it go.
let it
If the
go.
reason is up, let it go.
Let it
It's
go.
no
Oh
longer
yeah.
meant to be. So,
Mhm.
we can figure out what's next.
Absolutely.
There's
And
nothing like wasting your time on something that you should not be in.
oh, absolutely. And I 110% hear that. And I think there's, I don't know if everybody believes in a God or believes in like, a higher power, but like there's some stuff that like I said, the Jesus, the universe was just like, I'm removing this from your life. There's nothing
Seriously.
I'm not going to like, you won't do it. So I am like, you know what I mean?
Yep.
So I think, and that, then that puts you in a position to really have to just let go and trust and keep, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was something I needed to learn. And every time I thought, 22-year-old me would have been like, I trust. I like, I really
Oh,
let things go. But I'm telling this has been a big let go for me. And I think that's probably the level I needed to get to really just surrender. You know what I mean? Like life has a way of
mm-hmm.
making you just surrender to the
Oh,
process
100 every time.
every time, every single time. It's
Every
best to do it
time.
on your own because you kind of don't want to be in a position where life is just making you because that always feels
Seriously.
like more uncomfortable.
Oh,
But
100%. And
you
I
know,
mean, especially me, like, how me, I used to be like a control freak, which I kind of slightly am
yeah,
still, but like nowhere near where I used to be.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
Nowhere near. And it was just like, for what? Literally, for like
exactly,
now, I'm beyond lackadaisical about a lot of things that normally I would care about. Um, and it's just because, like, what is meant to be will be. Like, and I also like give myself some leeway. Like, I'm only 26. Like, I have a lifetime,
hmm,
hopefully. And if not, I try to live my life on a daily basis of just being like, you know what, I accomplished this today at least. If something does
yeah.
happen, um,
And it's about
I
doing
don't
the
have to
things
have.
that are in your control too.
Yeah, and I don't have to have everything done by tomorrow. Like,
Oh yeah,
that's kind of like the point of life. Like, kind of like Sims. You had to build the house. You had to go get a husband. You had to
because
go find a
yeah,
car, find a job. Like, it's a work in progress. It's never instantaneous.
exactly. And that's that's an important lesson I think everybody has to sort of learn in their, especially early on in life, is like you don't control this. You don't control this, you know?
Facts. The
You can,
earlier you learn it, the better.
yeah, you can build yourself to hopefully affect change, but you don't ultimately control it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But yeah, I agree. That's a big lesson I need to learn. And then, it's still something I think I like wrestle with, but I think I'm better than I was, especially at the top of this year,
Yeah.
because, the top of this year, I was by the book. Just say I was by the book.
Yeah.
And
No, I
what's
definitely think
happening,
this year has been like probably the most growth that I've seen from you. And I think it's
yeah,
like not only are you in a whole different place, you're on your own doing these things. So it just looks a lot different. You know what I mean? Versus like when you're, home, for example, somebody's also pushing their same ideas and morals and values on you and whatnot too. Not to blame anybody else, but like that is a thing. So,
yeah.
you're allowed to figure out you for once.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm just taking time to do that. We'll say that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So the next question was that you answered that question, right?
Yeah. No, I answered that one.
Okay. Yeah. What do you think my weakness is? I guess we kind of halfway already discussed this, but yeah.
Your weakness? I think cutting off people maybe sometimes too fast. No, I take that back because usually it's like, okay, you dodged a bullet. I lied. I'm gonna say maybe being like closed off a little bit.
Yeah.
And I probably say maybe just being a little closed off. Yeah, I guess I'll go with that. Just because like you never know,
yeah.
But I also think too, like you can't live your life on a possibility. So
that's true too. Yeah, I guess I could have had more like the stereotypical like youthful experiences by being more open, I guess. But then, I was thinking the other day and I was like, did I even want that?
I was gonna say, I don't feel like that's you.
Yeah. Like I really thought about it and I was like, so like everybody knows I don't drink or smoke and like, engage in that lifestyle. There's nothing wrong if you do that. But like I thought about, I was like, did I really have to have the experience of being 2 a.m. passed out in a bathroom somewhere vomiting? Not really. Really I didn't,
Yeah.
It's not really something I want, So but yeah, no, I agree. I think I am a little bit closed off at times, and I think that itself can be intimidating people because they're just like not sure where I'm at,
Yeah. Or I think also too sometimes that comes off as judgy, even though that may not be necessarily the intent.
Yeah. Well, sometimes I agree with you. I think a lot of times I'm just sort of closed off because I'm really not as judgy as people might perceive that I am. Just by looking. Because a lot of times I'm not really thinking about you. Like, you know what I mean? Like a lot of times I'm thinking about my own life or like whatever's going on in my own space. So like I'm always sort of shocked when people are like are rude to me or something, and I'm like, I feel like I haven't given you a reason to be, and it's because like I guess that's what their perception is. But because 9 times out of 10, I'm not thinking about you. I'm really not. Not in some like selfish way, but I'm not picking apart your life and your lifestyle or whatever. I recognized who you are, and then I moved on. You know what I mean? A lot of times. I don't know if you're that same way too, but
yeah, I guess you could say.
So, but yeah, I would agree.
I'm very like a head thinker, and so like I really sometimes don't mean to be like coming off as rude, but I'm really like thinking about some stuff so intently. So it's like I really don't mean any like harm by it, but I can see it. I can see how you and like when you start a conversation with me, I'll like immediately like zone out of it and like start smiling or whatever and like listening to what you're saying and whatnot. So, but yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. I think also something, but I agree. I think that a weakness, or like it can be a weakness, is like being closed off to people, the good people, being closed off to everybody, therefore shutting out the good people.
Yeah.
Because I want to honestly, as much as I want to get rid of the ones who are the problem, I want to love harder on the people who are the good ones.
Yeah, for sure.
And I definitely have come across like some really good, genuine people, and I don't want them to feel like I'm like not, you know what I mean? Not like welcoming to them and not appreciative of like the relationship that we have, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I try my best to make that clear, but I don't know if it always comes off that way.
It's a work in progress.
So, but yeah. Okay. Do you want to answer? So wait, I need to answer that question right for you.
No, you already answered it.
No, you answered.
Yeah. What do I need to hear?
No. What do you think my weakness is?
Oh, your weakness. Okay, you're right. We're on a whole different one.
No, you answered for me already. I was answering for you.
So you need to answer for me. Yeah.
No. She has no weaknesses. I'm just kidding.
She said it, not me.
I mean, I think you've evolved so much. So I think I'll say what your weakness to me used to be, but you evolved a lot out of that. Is like, it used to be very snappy to people and sort of like angry and like surface level angry all the time. And it was because you had just a lot of unhealed stuff like from our childhoods. So I think that was your biggest weakness because you ended up ostracizing yourself and making people dislike being around because of the way you would just snap. You know what I mean?
Facts.
And it's hard to heal when your first line of communication is to snap and get angry, you know?
Oh, for sure.
So I think once you like recognize that by yourself and like move differently, you started to say, you know what? How do I communicate a different way?
100%. Yeah.
That's for me when
I realized that it just wasn't effective. Like,
it's
really
just
got
not
me
effective.
nowhere.
It puts people on the defense. People who want to help you on the defense.
Yeah. It just wasn't effective. Yeah.
You know. So that's what I would say has been like the biggest weakness I noticed. But I really think you have tremendously worked on that.
Thanks
and like
for noticing.
And moved on like past that. Like, I mean, just the way we speak to each other now is so much more
effective,
and it's not about us fluffing each other up because we just talked about what we think each other's weaknesses are, and like, if she has an issue, she'll bring it up to me, and I'll bring up any issues I have with her. But it's like you have to have that established level of respectful communication first, so that people feel safe enough to even to start to have those conversations.
Yeah. Agreed.
So.
Agreed. Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that's what I think. For sure. Other than that,
I think my weakness is getting too many animals, child.
Oh yeah, that too.
Can't say no to the animals. Whew.
Seriously. Or that PetSmart bill.
Oh, child. Oh, yes. Yes. That is definitely it shouldn't even be a weakness. That's the thing.
Yes.
These animals need to start modeling something because it's not
bring income.
I gotta start working.
Seriously. Okay, you got another question for me?
Yep. Okay, my next one says, how do our personalities complement one another?
Catelyn sugar, I'm salt. I'm just kidding.
I'm dead. That's kind of close.
But the thing is, you could say that about us in reverse ways too. Like sometimes I can be sugar and Catelyn can be spicy. It's like,
absolutely.
I mean, you could use that for like, it's interchangeable because it's like 100%. Depending on who's coming, what we're saying, somebody's gonna be sugar, somebody's gonna be spice.
Absolutely, every time
how it works, and it's like it's different levels depending on who is spicy, who's not.
Yeah. I think also too, it depends on like the topic or whatever the situation is too. Because like if you're coming at somebody sideways and I'm peeping that, I'm gonna come at you sideways. If Courtney don't catch it, I'm gonna catch it. So it's kind of like a tag team.
Yeah. Honestly, what you don't want is too spice. That's what you don't want. Okay.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
And certain people have gotten the too spice, and that's
Yeah.
always a time, but
they was walking on. They got it right before.
yeah, they like
They knew.
eventually they get it right. But yeah, I think that's what I would say is like sometimes we'll like that's I think how we compliment each other best is like by being that supportive. Like if she didn't catch it, I
I got
do.
you.
If I don't catch it, or if I catch it, she doesn't. You know what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
we compliment each other nicely. And then like Caitlin always gives me like a very sort of grounded perspective from on like, things like my artwork, for example, is a big one. But also just like
Mm-hmm.
an example on how what life is, things I might be going through or whatever.
Mm.
You know? Because there's some stuff Caitlin did before me and she was like, well, this is how I did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's how I think we end up complimenting each other. Besides sugar and spice.
Facts. That's true. I like that one.
Yeah. So.
All right. So I say our personalities complement each other. I think we're kind of like, I would personally say we're like yin and yang. Because you're more of like, I always say this, and you're like, why do you always say that? But you're more of like artsy. I'm very like analytical, logic. So I think we kind of like bounce off of each other in that aspect. You bring like the creative artsy side, and I bring like, okay, like how are we logistically going to do this? So it works. I think I would say yin and yang kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that. And the thing about yin and yang is like they both, if you look at that symbol, they have both, yin has a little bit of yang in it and yang has a little bit of yin in
Exactly.
it. So it's like, that's how they complement,
Exactly.
That's why it works. So,
yep.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that's very true about our characters, Just watch out for the double spice because that's going to be some heat.
You don't want that.
You don't want the double spice.
You do not.
I actually do feel bad for the people who get the double spice, and it's really like probably been a handful of people. Well, not feel bad, but I just know that's a wave storm of like. That's a wave storm.
You like if we're getting double spice, you definitely had to ask for it.
Oh, there's a reason. No, there's definitely a reason.
So I do not feel bad
spice because we're like checking you on every single level. It's logically making sense, emotionally it's making sense, physically it's making sense. So there's a lot of times like if we're coming at you in that way and we're both on the same exact energy level, like there's a direct
you had to really
reason.
do something.
We're not sugarcoating it. That's what I'm saying.
Seriously. And you had to really do something because like usually it's like, okay, you know what? Maybe we're just overreacting. Like one or the other can like kind of like talk somebody out of it.
Try to talk. Yeah.
You had to really like if we're both agreeing.
Something.
Come on now.
Yeah. So. Yeah. That means we talked about it probably beforehand and still agreed to the same thing.
Definitely talk about it. So.
It was definitely a problem. And like I said, I feel like only a few people really get the double.
Oh, yeah. No, not too many people.
But they know why. We'll just say that.
For sure.
So, yeah, yeah. Okay. Is my turn for a question?
Yeah.
Okay. What about me is hardest for you to understand?
I think your art sometimes. I just like my brain does just not think like that. I tell you this all the time though. Like a lot of that stuff just does not make sense to me.
Like my artwork?
But I just not your artwork, but like just the idea of like art as a whole. Oh, yeah. And like it just my brain. I don't know why my brain just cannot wrap my head around it. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I get that.
And I mean, it's like it's not just you. Like it's other people that do art.
What'd you say?
I said it's not just you. Like it's any like pretty much any artwork. Like because Ricky does art. She does. She makes music and stuff like that. And it's just like for the life of me, it just like doesn't click.
Like what the process of making it, or like why?
Yeah, like and I've seen her do it, and it's just like get it done. And it's like so much more than that. You know what I mean? Like a math equation, you put in all this stuff and you just get your answer. But art's not like that. Everybody has something different. Everybody, it's just not like that. So
it's sort of fluid in the way that like it
Yeah,
comes about. You have to be married to or you have to accept the idea of change when
for
you make
sure.
something.
And I
Like you
think
have
more than
to,
anything, art is an experience. You just have to be
oh
willing to
yeah,
just
it's a
go
new
for the ride,
experience.
right?
Yeah.
Which maybe that's the problem. Like maybe I'm a little bit of a more of a control freak when it comes to that. I don't know.
Mm.
So maybe that's like the block there, but
And you
I
have to
think
like
that's
the
probably like the
process of
biggest thing.
making it. You have to like the
Yeah,
process.
true.
Yeah. That's what really makes you artists is when you are like in love with the process of making something, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but yeah, okay, so side question of that, has anything that I've made like ever just like deeply shocked you? You're like, not my sister doing this. Or you like, nah, it
Deeply
makes
shocked
sense.
me.
Yeah.
No, because I think all the things that you've made have just been really critical of something in one way or the other, and I feel like that's like just how you are as a person. I feel like that's how we are as a family. Like we're deeply critical of I wouldn't say necessarily each other, but just like making sure you critically think about these things.
Yeah.
So it doesn't shock me at all.
Not critical in a negativity way, like
Yeah.
critical, like we're just tearing each other down, like critical, like you're not about to bring something to us and we're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
We don't just accept things. You know what I
Exactly.
mean?
Or like did you think about this and like I want you to be the best that you possibly can be, like
Yeah.
the consequences maybe, or like how is this going to be perceived?
Hmm.
Those kind of things. So it's not just it's on a deeper level. Like you just have to think about things on a deeper level. So it doesn't shock me at all that your art is literally that.
Yeah. Like
I
that's
haven't
that's
seen
kind of
any of
like
your
where
art
we
that
come
isn't.
from. What'd you say?
I said I haven't seen any of your art that wasn't like critically thought
Like
out.
engaged. Yeah. Well, I mean, to me, I don't know how other people do things, but I only make things that are critical, or not only make things that are critical, but for me, making artwork is about thinking about the world that I live in. So
Yeah.
it has to be, it comes out of that lane. That it's an expression of what my thoughts, you know. So it would never be non thought out.
Yeah.
Just, you know what I mean? Like I don't just make things to be making them, or else I wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so it's my turn to answer that side of the question, right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, yours is what about you is hardest for me to understand. Um hmm. Yeah, I guess it's this. I mean it's admirable. It really is admirable that you do this. It's hardest for me to understand sometimes how you are so willing or able to kind of um you're so willing to like look past someone's sort of like surface. You know what I mean?
Mm. Okay.
And you're willing to really I don't you like you are willing to look at someone beyond their surface. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Or and you oh not that I don't think you give people second chances if they don't deserve it. It's not that. It's you're willing to really take account of like where that person is coming from instead of sort
Yeah.
of like me. I will be like, you violate me one time, that's it. You
Facts.
might be
You
like,
know, the reason why I do
if
that
you
though is
violate me
because
one time,
go
go
ahead, I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead.
I was saying like you're the person might be like violate you or say do something you don't like, and I think you put up a boundary, but you're still like I I'm not totally just like disgusted by that person the way I might be. You're like, well, there's a person there still. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
you know the reason why I do that though is because I know what it feels like to be on the other side of that. When I
Yeah.
was that person back in the day, that's how I was perceived.
Yeah.
I believe, and so that's why I do it. Is because it's like you know what, I was that person that behaved very questionably and very angrily. And so like I understand like how you got there. You know, well I don't necessarily know the ins and outs of how you got there, but I know how I got there. And
Yeah.
so, you know, you guys did or whoever I was around never gave up on me kind of thing. So I want to be able to give that back. Now, am I gonna let you just continue to do that? No, you get 3 strikes, you are out. And we're gonna make those boundaries known ASAP. But you know, I think that was what was given to me. So
Yeah, I mean, that's why I think it's admirable because you do that so consistently with people, and I I want to get to that place where I'm just totally like, you know, um, I really just see past the wrong done, but it's really hard for me. It's really hard. You
yeah,
violate me, or I perceive your actions as violation. I want no parts of you ever again. You know,
that's
and
fair.
and maybe and sometimes sometimes people violate because they really genuinely don't know any better, or they're acting out trauma or whatever. Sometimes it
Yeah,
is they're just an a-hole and they just do wild stuff. So I don't know. It's you have to decipher that, but I think it's admirable in some ways, to give second chances when you know somebody is deserving. You know,
yeah,
versus
yeah.
me, I know at this moment, and that's something I guess I should work on, is there is no second chance because you violated me once. I just automatically believe that's who you are, and you're gonna do it again. You know,
Yeah.
which is not
And I also have
exactly
this
led me
idea
astray.
too that like one more time.
It hasn't led me astray exactly, but
Yeah.
I think sometimes there genuinely are people who don't know that they're violating because they just have not had the same level of like self analysis.
Facts. And I think also too that people when they're in, however they're trying to get to know you or a relationship or whatever you want to call it, people are going to push your boundaries, period,
Yeah.
until you make a boundary known. And so, that's why I say three strikes. You have
Mm-hmm.
3 strikes to continue to push my boundaries. And on the third strike, this is the first time, okay, maybe an accident. The second time, let this be a lesson learned. I'm going to let you know that you're wrong. So, as well as the first time, the third time, you're doing this on purpose. Now you're trying
Yeah.
to run over. And so, I think that all relationships require some level of pushing boundaries to see how far they can get you to do something or go somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, that's why I think people deserve 3 shots.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm always looking for people in my life who don't feel the need to push any kind of boundary. Because like
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to push boundaries. I think that's the ideal person, is people who just do not push boundaries because they respect that everybody has a boundary. That's like ideal adulthood, is to like
Yeah.
recognize everybody has a boundary and that you shouldn't just be trying to push and figure out things about people. Okay. So I think that's probably like top tier. But before people can get to that, there's mistakes along the way, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
So I think I just know for me, it's a protection thing. It definitely is, because I'll just push people away, or like be like, okay, well that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I
And
get it. Why? Because I
yeah,
get why.
and I mean, I will say it's different. It depends on the transgression too, because some transgressions it's just like, okay, you show me that was so like heinous and problematic that like there's really nothing. You don't need to show
Yeah.
me anything else, you know.
Oh,
So you
yeah.
have to,
Definitely have discretion now.
yeah, it's discretion for sure. But you have to know whether you got to know sort of like the character of the person who's doing this
Facts.
behavior, you know.
Yeah. And I think like a big thing, like in the little past living situation that you were in, I think that
Mm,
was, one of those places where you can take that to the grave and be like, you know what? I probably learned that there. Um,
mm,
you were one of them, you're like, nope, I already peeped it. And the other one, you're like, let me give her a chance. You know what I mean?
mm,
And that just didn't get you that far. So
yeah.
I think in that space, because you were living there, you gave it a little bit more
Mm,
leeway, but
yeah.
same principle there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I can definitely say in that situation I tried. I can,
Yeah,
and that's why I sleep easy at night, because I tried, and there's
exactly.
nothing to be done. There's that's
Exactly.
yeah, there's nothing to be done from me. From me, there's a lot of work to be done for that person. Like that person needs work. Okay, a lot of work. But that's out of my wheelhouse. You can talk to
Yeah,
somebody else about
seriously.
that. You know. Um. So yeah, but yeah, I hear that, and I think that's true. I think that's something I want to continue to work on. Because it's just, especially when it comes to relationships, and I'm so much quicker with like when people approach me, to just, you mess up the first time, leave, like
Yeah,
done
that's it.
completely,
Hmm.
that's it. So yeah, but then again, I do think some people, I mean, especially in the world we live in, people aren't really taught how to respect boundaries when in the first interaction. Like,
True.
actually, a lot of times, first interactions are about breaking boundary or trying to, like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
So I
especially
don't
like the
know.
dating culture. That's
Oh
what
yeah,
it
dating
is.
culture specifically is dating is all about being predatory and and breaking boundaries. We need to do an episode on that actually,
Facts.
because I really once you start analyzing really all of it is all about breaking boundaries. It's breaking women's boundaries specifically.
Yeah, and the
Um,
thing is, like, it's in some cases, I haven't seen very many, but there can be healthy ways to do it. But a lot of the times, especially when you're heterosexual,
yeah,
um, because that's what I've dealt with majority of my life, I would say that they're 9 times out of 10 not respectful.
it's not exactly.
So
Yeah, it's not really respectful, which further makes people women put up those harder, harsher boundaries. Like the reason why you feel like so and so is so cold or so and so is because they got to be. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's like
yeah,
because you aren't the first person who's broken a boundary, and there's a consequence behind that. You know, so that
facts.
I would say on that, and that's something I try. You got to feel it out. It's individualistic. You have to feel
Oh
it out
yeah,
for a person. There's no
100%.
catch all for it. So that's something I really do want to continue to be mindful of. Is like, is this person what character, what kind of character does this person have? Because maybe that's informing
Hmm.
their immediate actions.
Yeah, for sure. And even
But you got to
like
be clear about that too. Sorry.
oh, for sure. I was gonna say even like their life experiences, trauma and stuff like that. I think, and then one of the first relationships that I had, it was eye opening. Like I was appalled that everybody was not raised like me, in the
Mm,
sense of just being like aware of my consequences. Somebody's not hand holding, um, those kinds of things. Just to me the basics. But that person just wasn't, and so it was like, well, that's weird. And so yeah, I think also too, like when most people know me or get to know me, they can learn a lot too, so give them the opportunity to learn what they need to learn as well. So
yeah, yeah.
not that
I
that's
I
my
think
job, so
yeah.
let's get that
And
in there.
yeah, that's something to note. That's something to note. It's never anybody's job to heal you, help you
Yeah,
be better. So
for
if
sure.
somebody does want to cut you off cold turkey, they have every
Goodbye.
human right to do that. So the way Caitlyn does it is totally within her right. The way I do it is totally within my right to do.
Exactly.
Nobody
Yep.
owes you anything. And then some people get mad because they're like, well, why don't you show me? Why don't you give me a chance to show you I can be better or blah blah? And it's like they don't owe you. They do
Facts.
not. You got to accept that as an adult. Nobody owes you that. So if you go, you step to this person and you offend them, you violate them, you got to stand 10 tones down and the consequences of that.
Yeah.
That's called
100%.
consenting adults,
Accountability.
accountability, and some
That's
people
that's
just do
cool.
not want to stand in accountability, which is wild to me. 'Cause I'm like, you keep messing up because you just don't want to stand in what your behavior is.
Yeah. No, the lack of
Seeing that,
accountability always appalls me.
yeah. And the links people will go to absolve themselves of accountability is
It's
truly
bananas.
shocking. What'd you
It
say?
really is. It's truly
Truly
bananas.
shocking.
Like what?
Yeah.
Like to me,
As if,
it's just easier to be like, oh, I say that because I am working on healing myself. So maybe that's where that's coming from. But it's appalling. I would rather be like, you know what? I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? I'm sorry
exactly.
that you had that experience. That is not what I meant by it.
Hmm.
Or like maybe that is what I meant, but I'm sorry you had that experience. I don't mean to cause you any harm, but I meant what I said. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed. And
But
there's always a way to communicate that, you
yeah.
know. Um, so that's what I think about that.
Okay. Whose card
And
is
yeah,
it? I think it's your card.
I think it's wait, no, I just did a card, right?
Okay. I did personalities complement each other.
I was talking about what about me is hardest for you to understand. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah,
It's
we
I
did that.
think
Okay. So it's
yeah,
my
it's
card.
yours.
What
Hmm.
has this conversation taught you about yourself?
Ooh, specifically this one.
Yeah, I'm going to do it just because we're on level 3.
really, I think it's taught me like more. I think it's taught me about how you see me. I think more than anything,
Okay. Yeah.
and then therefore how I might be coming off to other people, and that like and then something we were talking about working on is like um, realizing that how my behavior comes off to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like if my behavior does come off um, judgmental or as you stated, like being an a-hole or whatever, like what my how my behavior comes off. I think that's the biggest thing, and it's important to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Not that I think I'm like a
I'm not
horrible
going to say an
person.
a-hole. I mean, I would venture to say just non-approachable. So.
Unapproachable. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I get that. So, that's something I like. I'm not totally. I mean, there's a reason I do it. Or what reason like my behavior is that way? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a reason your behavior.
I was going to say, I feel like you're very aware of that. And I think it's really like a protection mechanism, which I don't fault that because I see how people move in this world. I'm fully aware. So,
yeah. So, I mean, I bet it's something to be aware of and just know, like, I just try not to cut off the good ones. I'm more concerned about keeping the good ones in my space than intimidating or scaring off the bad ones, because if it's scaring off the bad ones, it's doing its job. Okay.
Fact.
Right? Like I'm never gonna apologize about my behavior if it gets a toxic person out of my life.
No, seriously.
Facts. Oh well. Go to a therapist. This is what you do anyway. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, okay, so how would you answer that question?
I think it's taught me I think it like more than anything, what I picked up is like it's just okay to right your wrongs,
Yeah.
It's okay to acknowledge them, and even for like, because I don't owe you closure, but like it definitely is like nice, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say that. I think also too, like you said, how you perceive me, because we've never really like had a conversation like this before. But
Yeah.
and especially being that we're twins and we've experienced a lot of a life together,
It goes unspoken.
it is cool to like know how you perceive me. Especially now that we're out of like we're not in the house together anymore. We don't really live our lives together anymore. So I don't like identify myself as, oh, I'm a twin. You know what I mean? I'm Courtney's twin. Or just like in high school, that's like kind of like what we did. So
yeah, for sure. I think it helps that I mean, I just think there's a lot of unspokenness because we just shared some like similar experiences that we think we don't need to speak, and that there's an understanding, and there's a big understanding between us. It's not that there isn't a core understanding, but it's like as we get older and things change, it's important to communicate it clearly, even with the people who are closest to you.
For sure. For sure.
That's important to do.
Yeah, and I agree with that because I think that a lot of things it's just kind of like, oh, it's understood because we're like twins and like we grew up together, but now that we do not live together, it's no longer understood. Like it's like now you have to put effort,
Yeah, there has to be clear adult communication and accountability and all the things you have to do as an adult.
Yeah. Which is cool. I definitely appreciate this.
Yeah, no, it's been good for sure. I mean, I think a lot of things we did already sort of know about each other. Like, we're like hyper. I feel like we're hyper self-aware people. We're not even just self-aware. We're like hyper self-aware people.
Yeah,
just collectively, and we're like so self-aware. We're not just calling other people out. About we're not just critical. We're really like, what? How do I fit into that? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And like, how can I really be like the best version of myself in that?
Yeah. Which actually, I think that in itself can be scary to people, is like knowing enough about yourself to know that you need to right your own wrongs, or how you know what I mean? A lot of people don't. I think it's scary because it's like, if you hold yourself to that level of accountability, you got to be holding me to something.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean? Yeah, and we absolutely are. But like, I think to some people who are used to lower vibrational energy, that's scary because it
that's
causes
true.
you to do more and be more.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
true. Yeah, that's very true.
because like we're self. Anybody who will hold themselves to a standard is typically going to hold somebody else to even maybe even higher. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
I
it's like,
know.
why would I
I
allow
hold
you any?
myself to the highest standard, but you gonna have to, be where I'm at or
Yeah,
right there. You can't
yeah,
not too much lower. So
yeah. Not too much lower. And I mean, it's not that you don't like people grow and evolve, and it's not about we're not growing and evolving, but like there's a certain threshold we're not going to accept, and we never have accepted in our lives. You know
and don't plan on doing it today.
exactly. Like, I mean, something. I mean, I guess it sounds. I don't know if this is a good example to bring up, but like, neither one of us have ever been in those like serial cheating or like abusive, like personal romantic relationships. You know,
Oh yeah,
and I think
absolutely
it's
not.
because like we would peep that so quick. Like I can look at your jeans and see if you are a woman beater. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's kind of the level that like we're on. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And I think people that can be very intimidating people because they just the games don't work. That's what we'll say. You know?
facts. Don't waste mine or your time.
Yeah. And then we're also just like not afraid to tell you like I'm not doing
You're
this.
wrong.
You know, you're
You're
wrong.
wrong,
I'm not doing this.
and
And
you
here
got the
like
wrong
here's why.
one.
You know? So yeah. Okay. Do we both answer that question?
Yeah.
Okay. So this one's actually like a lighter question. I don't know how it made it to the top of the list, but it's a lighter question. If
Well,
we were in
ending
a
on a good
band,
note.
what'd you say?
So ending on a good note.
Right? If you were in a band, if we were in a band, what would our name be? I feel like this is like level one question, but yeah.
Yeah, we would be yin and yang.
I think it would be C squared or something.
No, that's Courtney.
Or
That's really
Keiko.
corny.
We could be
Or Keiko.
Keiko.
I like Keiko. Yeah, it's
Keiko,
clever.
yeah. Now, okay, real question. Who would be playing what instrument and what genre would we be doing?
Oh, we would definitely be doing like neo soul, and I would be
Yeah.
playing the bass, period, or the
So I'm
piano.
be playing the bass. What do you think I would be doing?
I feel like you would be like a singer or something.
Yeah, I think I'd be a singer. I think I'd be a singer and probably play like acoustic guitar or something.
Yeah, I can see that.
Or some obscure instrument like oboe or something. Something very
Oh
obscure.
God. Oh God. Oh gosh.
Or like Lizzo, like the flute. I did play the flute in fifth grade.
That was back when in Jesus days.
Yeah, seriously. It's you
All
know what
right,
I was
let's see.
thinking. What's so weird is like my people would think that I'm like from the outside I look like a very like introverted, shut in person or something, which is always wild to me because I'm like I'm very willing to put myself out there in like performative ways. You
I
know what I
think
mean?
that's
Like
different. I think like you're open, but like you're not like, you know. Does that make sense? Open is different from that.
yeah. Well, I'm saying from other people who don't know me very well
Hmm.
think they take me as like an introvert or somebody very quiet and very like shy and removed or something.
Hmm.
But people who know me, that couldn't be further from the truth. I'm not some like
Yeah,
closed
that's true.
recluse, shut in or something. Like I'm actually quite bold with like what I do. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So that's always interesting to me when people have that take of me because I'm like, I, there's some stuff, some lines I won't cross, but a lot of stuff I would do proudly, and I don't care. Like
Facts.
so, but yeah. So yeah. Oh wait, did I answer it? What do I think? Well, we kind of both answered it. I think Keiko would
Yeah.
be a good band name, and we would be doing some like R&B, neo soul,
Yeah, for
maybe a
sure.
little like indie, like funk or
Yeah,
something.
got to do that because I like indie.
Yeah, that would be
Okay,
cool if we were in a band.
that would
Although
be cool.
I get the feeling we would eventually split up.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
we would
I'm a
eventually
whole
have
like nature goddess out here. How am I gonna do that?
exactly. I
In
think
the
we both
van.
like we would
How would
split
that
up.
work?
Exactly. That's a good question. I have one more question. I don't know if you have another question, but
Yeah, I have one more too.
you do? Okay. Go ahead.
Mine says, "What should you think? Oh, excuse me. What do you think I should know about myself that perhaps I'm unaware of?"
Hmm. Um. We just had a question about how we're hyper self aware, so I don't even feel like I could say something that you're not even aware of. I really don't.
Yeah. Yeah, we're pretty aware.
I don't. Yeah, I don't think there's something that I could say that you just wouldn't. You don't lack that like level of self awareness. You know, like
Yeah, no, we're pretty self-aware. And if we're not like aware of something, one of us is gonna let somebody know.
let somebody else know. Yeah. I mean, okay, I'll say this, but this really doesn't apply to the question. I'm just saying this to answer the question, so I actually halfway take this with a grain of salt. I think sometimes, well, because you're in a relationship like with somebody, I have to like retrain myself to like realize that like you spend that time with that person and that person is an important person in your life. Not that I don't feel like I'm not an important person, but that like that person you're in a relationship with is important to you. So you have to like carve out time for them. And sometimes in my head I'm like, well, why is that important that you're doing that with that person? Or like, why do you need to stop?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to like cut off your conversation for me to go with this person? But I mean, I'm not following you for that because that's your relationship and it is important to you. So like you're gonna do that. And
Yeah.
like half the time I'm talking about gibberish anyways. So like or I'm just saying it's like, I'm like, look what I got from the thrift store. There's something that's not as important. So
I
I
wouldn't say it's
like
not important.
it's not that it's not as important, but it's like your relationship is also important to you. So I don't want to like, you know what I mean? So that's something that I don't know if you're aware of. That's like a shift I had to like make in my brain. But I think that comes with any relationship. I'm not, but I feel like you would know that. I think.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I'm pretty aware of that. I try to be mindful of that.
What do you say?
I said, yeah, I'm pretty aware of that, but I also like try to be mindful, like when you like call or whatever. I usually like try to like not even answer if I know I'm busy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like I'll answer and be like, hey, let me just call you back, or like when I get home or something like that, just so like you're aware. And I try to like just not separate the two, but like give all my energy that I can to those separate things. So
yeah. I mean, I think that's the truth with like, anybody who's in a relationship would do that.
Yeah.
I choose not to be in relationships. So like, that's really why like there's a difference,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, because I think when you're not in a relationship, when you're calling someone, you're like, not that you're like looking for companionship, but you see that as like, oh, this person surely has the same amount of time and dedication to this conversation that I do. And it's like, you have other things in your life,
Yeah. Yeah. And even like, not even just like relationship, like animals. Like I have
your
a whole zoo
animals.
now. So
yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not just a relationship. I want to put it just on that, but like you do have other like beings in your presence that you are responsible for. Like we established in the other one, Courtney doesn't take no responsibility for anything. Okay, right right now, besides herself. Okay, there's no other life in here, with me. So I like when I devote time and attention to something, I devote it fully, and that's because I just have it to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's like has been like a good like learning lesson for both of us. It's like there isn't. I feel like less of an expectation that like you are just always there.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Like and be more respectful of like your time and stuff.
Exactly. I mean, there's I don't want to make it seem like it's totally like one way, like I'm like calling, like you have to answer my phone call and like you have to, whatever. But like,
now, I think you've been like picking up too that like during the week I pretty much like take care of my animals and stuff like that. And like my daily life, and then like on the weekends, like we just talk pretty much all day.
Yeah. And then, like, there's plenty of times too where I'll be like, hey, look, I got the shoot, so I'm out for the day.
Yeah. Or like you're playing volleyball or something. Yeah.
I'm playing volleyball or something. So
it's
like,
mutual.
So it's like fairly mutual. It's not some like, I don't know. It's not like, it really isn't that big of a deal. And we've been able to navigate it really nicely, actually, I think. Because I've had other friendships with people or whatever where they like they shut you out because there was somebody else. You know,
trust me. Same.
Yeah, I feel like we've all had that friend or whatever, and it's like, now that becomes a bigger problem, I think. But I don't think you don't 100%. Shut people out. You just, I think you just like state boundaries and say like, hey, this is where I can give my attention to this now. You know?
Yeah, I really try to separate it, like just kind of like half and half. So
exactly, yeah. And I mean, from what I understand, like the person you're in a relationship with is just seems to be like aware of that, which is great.
Oh yeah,
because sometimes
and she's very respectful of like if I am talking to you, she'll be like, oh, like just let me talk to you, kind of thing for the most part.
Yeah,
like not like nagging me, not like trying to talk,
some people,
talk to me while you're
do that.
Yeah. That's
sometimes the partner is the problem.
Yeah, that's annoying.
And that's never. That's an issue. I think that's always an issue.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, we definitely respect each other's choice to have relationships outside of our relationship. So I 1000% appreciate that because not everybody's like that. So
yeah, and when that's an issue,
and that's a red flag. AKA, I gotta go.
Yeah, that is a big red flag. I think actually. To me that's actually almost abuse because like why can I not have a life outside of this context?
Oh, totally. That is definitely like emotional abuse.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I hope none of y'all don't know someone like that, or you're not in that situation yourself. Because
seriously,
if you didn't know it was a red
flag,
do
it. Now it is. It's not pink, baby. It's red.
Yeah, you know what? This is making me actually think about a situation like. Because this shows up not just in your family relationships, but in work relationships too. Somebody I was working with, like our shoots go late, right? Like late, especially on indie films and stuff. Like you got to get everything in that moment to get the shoot done, get the scenes you need. But like this person was sort of like trying to rush my shoot because they needed to like get home to their partner. Which, like, I understand. I'm not paying you to be here. You're here on your own time. You know what I mean? Sort of thing. And you're here for the opportunity.
Let's go and just leave, ma'am.
For the fellowship. But I'm going to be honest with you. And I don't have a problem with you leaving early. Because, like I said, you're free to come. You're free to go when you want. Okay? Only people are required to be there to finish the stuff was the actors, right? Because that's what was necessary. But, like, this person just had, like, for whatever reason, I don't know what the nature of the relationship was, but like had to go at a certain like time, which is cool. Don't get angry at me because my shoot isn't done by the time you gotta go. My ship carries on. You know what I mean? Like
my life does not stop.
Yeah, I'm not about to wrap everything and stop my shoot and don't get my stuff done because whatever's going on with you gotta go for that. If you gotta go, go.
Yeah, babe, that's a personal problem.
Exactly. It's a personal problem. And dang sure don't take it out on me, because I mean, especially when I fund my own stuff. I like make this stuff myself. So like if I cut this and don't get what I need, I wasted my money and you didn't pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, so no. That's happened to me in like work situations as well. So that toxicity carries over into other things. And like to this day, I don't see myself like working with that person just because of like that situation. You know what I mean?
Facts. Yeah, that's kind of weird, but I mean, especially like me personally, if I like agree to do something, like I'm gonna see it out, like find another number to call, babes.
Yeah.
Because
or if the thing is, if you gotta go, I'm giving you the choice to go. You could go. Don't cut your attitude because of whatever, because you either you want to stay or you don't. You know what I mean? Like,
and my thing is too, like you. Facts.
Yeah.
And my thing is, you also like nobody else is going home to do the things that you're about to do. Like, you know what I mean? Why does everybody need to leave?
Exactly.
Some of us are aware that this is an all night thing.
Or it's something that takes a long time to complete.
Interesting.
So Yeah, that's and the thing is that's a bad practice to move forward in your space. Like I understand that like what we're doing is an indie movie and it's very just sort of small, but like that's not a good practice to carry into bigger things.
Yeah,
What you gonna
for
tell your
sure.
boss? I gotta go home because so and so needs me. No, they're gonna
We are
replace
not
you.
babies. We
Period.
are
Like they're
not
gonna be like,
babies.
we'll get the next girl because she can be here. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
people aren't gonna waste time. People aren't gonna stop their stuff for you.
I can see if we had, and don't be wrong, I understand, like, I understand to a capacity because, like, if that's what you guys agreed on, cool, fine and dandy. But like, don't drag
Mhm.
anybody else in that. But I also don't understand too. Like, if you agree to do this, then I'm not understanding what you expected.
Oh yeah, and if
Or
you're
like, you know,
you
hey, I'm gonna be
understand what
latex.
the stakes were, you knew what the
Yeah,
stakes were. You know,
yeah,
so
yeah. It couldn't be me.
no, it couldn't. It wouldn't be me. That's just not what I would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But then again, I don't. I sort of set my life up to not have to have those stuff like that doesn't come up because I don't. I like keep other things in check. You know what I mean?
facts. And I was gonna say, even for me, like, I'm in a relationship, and that who are you talking to?
Yeah.
No, ma'am. No, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Like I really
Absolutely
feel
not.
like if you just, if you really you were like, okay, well, I gotta stay out later or whatever, like
Yeah,
you
communicate, sure.
like communicate and like let it go. But like I think the issue with this person was like whoever they're like with. This is my perception of it. Now maybe it was something else. I don't know, but from what I understood, it seemed like the person that they were with was like, you need to be back at a certain time, sort of thing, And that's first off, we're grown, number one. So
Yeah, that
you
sounds
ain't tell me,
controlling.
you
No,
ain't tell me when
ma'am.
I'm coming in and out. That's number one. But number two,
That sounds like
like,
control.
yeah, but like when you agree to do something that can take a long time and that there's a fluctuating time on, like a film or a project, um, you sign up to be aware, or don't come,
Yeah.
and dang sure don't ask me to be here as you did, and then want to limit what I do. Beggars can't be choosers in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't ask for an opportunity you don't intend on carrying out fully.
That's a little
You know what I'm
strange. A
saying?
little strange.
Exactly, which is why we just nipped it in the bud. We'll just say that. But yeah.
Okay, so my last card says, what do you think I should know about my I've already answered this, so we're done.
Oh yeah, no, I have one more question. This is the last one.
Oh, okay.
If you could prescribe me one thing to do for the rest of this month, what would it be and why? Just this
One
month?
thing to prescribe to you. One thing to prescribe you. Let's see. I'm gonna say make more art because you really enjoy it and you deserve to live a life where you are able to enjoy the things that you enjoy. So make more art.
Make more artwork.
Yep.
That's good. That's a good prescription. You don't think
Do
I
what
make
you
enough? I
love to
think I'm
do.
oversaturating people. If you look at my Instagram every day, I'm like, look at this, look at that. I did this. I feel like I'm like inundating people with things all the time.
I mean, I think that's like something that you enjoy. So like keep doing it, you know? Never stop doing the things that you enjoy.
Yeah, it's true. No, I'll definitely take that. And believe me, I got some stuff up my sleeve, so don't worry about
See?
that.
Already in the making.
Um, yeah, okay. What would I prescribe you to do the rest of the month? I feel like you need like you need like a mommy spa day.
From the animals.
Yeah, like I feel like somebody like, I think either your partner or somebody needs to be like, you know what, just go take some time for you.
You
Go do
know,
something that's
honestly, I would
totally
appreciate that at this point. I don't even
like
like spas. So I would enjoy that.
I feel like even though you don't have children, you do, and like you just need like mommy relaxed day.
Yeah, I just need a day to myself.
Yeah, one day where you're not responsible for like checking on this person or checking
Yeah,
out, making sure. And it's
checking
not that you don't love them.
balls and testicles and
Yeah, all
pee
that.
pans and ugh.
I think that would be great. Like taking some more time to be like, you know what? I'm not even a pet mom. I'm not a plant
Yeah.
mom. I'm nobody's
Take a
nothing.
day to
I'm
be
just
nothing
Caitlyn.
to no one but myself.
Yeah.
That
I
sounds
think that would be great.
amazing. It
I think that
sounds
would
too
be
good to
great.
be true, but nonetheless.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, your pets don't understand that concept because they're
Oh,
like, "Where my food
at
at?"
all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that would be good for you, so you can just kind of like unwind,
I would appreciate that.
like
That's a good one. That's a good one.
and, and recenter, and because being a pet mom is like being a real mom.
Exhausting. Especially with the amount that I have. It's like, it's a little OD. It's a little OD. Somebody always needs something. 3 was like, okay, you can separate it. But the fourth was like, ooh, this one's taking some time to get used to. And I love him to death. I would not trade him for anything. But the fourth one just threw me for a monkey wrench. It wasn't expected either. So it was kind of like, but yeah, no, that fourth, I was like, Oof.
Yeah.
So, and then his personality is very like almost demanding. So
yeah. That's what I think. And then maybe even not just doing like one spa day, but doing like taking more time during the day to be like, okay, I'm not taking care of this, I'm not taking care of that. I'm really just sitting down and like,
mm-hmm.
and doing something for me. And I mean, you've been doing nails, which is great.
Yeah, for sure.
That's probably helping you really, I don't want to say dissociate, but sort of like dissociate from anybody needing your care or attention.
100%.
So, because I think sometimes, like, even though it's not, children, they are like they're fur children. So,
yeah, and I mean they, especially with the amount it's always a constant demand. Somebody always needs something.
Exactly.
Somebody's always doing something. So,
yeah, that's what I would say.
Especially Ocean. Oh, child.
Yeah. That's what I would prescribe. I think that's great, though. Okay. Are there any other like questions or anything you thought like to like wrap up this episode? This has been a long episode.
Yeah, it is. No, it was fun playing. It's really good to like get to know some of these things, like how you feel and stuff like that. I think also like the questions in this game. I love this game, by the way, but the questions in this game and how they ask things is just very nicely put, I think.
Yeah.
Which allows for like a more open, honest conversation. So
agreed.
Definitely go get the game if you can. They definitely sell it at Target. That's where I got mine from. But yeah, I love this game, and they have a lot of additions too on their website.
Yeah, I need to like get a set like for me because I want to look over more of these questions. I think I agree too. I think they're really probing questions. Like they really make you think, and it's well put.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's sort of better than like Black Cards Revoked or like all those games. Like those are fun, but they don't probe into much. It's just sort of like
and even like the conversations, because we only did a couple cards from each of the decks. It like definitely leads to other conversations.
Agreed.
They also have other packs. Like I have the healing edition. I have the self-love. So maybe we can like play that one day. Just
oh yeah, that'd be good. Maybe down the line we can do like We're Not Really Strangers. This episode here or there about like from one of those packs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening to another episode of Keiko Talks and for playing We're Not Really Strangers. We hope that this either like not only showed you about us because we talked obviously about ourselves, but like maybe opened up something about you, like helped you to think about something differently, or maybe you answer these questions for yourself, or you answer these questions with somebody somebody you have like a really deep connection with. And yeah, make sure you join us in the next episode because
yeah,
good one for you.
Thanks for watching. Make sure you go watch the first and second level as well too. Those are in our previous episodes.
Yes, for sure. All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.